of this information is to help you navigate the spiritual lane of life. So guess what? I feel like I have three roles as your minister. I need to teach, I need to inspire, and I need to entertain, right? And I promise I really do try to bounce around those three things. But here at the beginning of the year, I feel like I'm doing a lot of teaching, and today is going to be a teaching lesson because I really want you to understand some of the basics of spirituality and how they work in your life, because when you know how to use spirituality in your life and live it, you live in a more uplifted way. And so I hope to sprinkle enough inspiration and entertainment in to keep you encouraged and awake. That's my point. But today I'm going to teach. And I want to set up a structure in my lesson today that we will kind of continue to flesh out as we go through lessons throughout the year. And I'm calling this lesson Personal Powers and Pillars. And I'm going to kind of give an overview, a brief overview of all of them. And then today we're going to dive into the powers part. And if you're a note taker, this would be a great time to take notes. So first, let me talk about what we're trying to build in our life. Let's talk about the pillars for a second. In the middle of trying to cope with all the changes that are constantly happening in our lives around us, we're also trying to build some pillars in our lives that hold our life structures in place. And again, I'll talk about them more in depth, but just let me tell you what I see them to be. So the first pillar I call the personal pillar of well-being. That includes our peace of mind and our physical health, our mental health. That is one of the pillars of our lives. The second pillar is I call the pillar of energy management, which is the management of the energy of time, money, support, other resources, anything that flows through our life. When we have a strong pillar of knowing how to manage those, then our lives work out better. And then the third pillar, I'm calling the pillar of relationships. And these are the connections that we build with everyone around us, but everything around us. We are in relationship with everything. And since everything is God, really, it's our relationship with the divine. So we're building these kind of structural pillars as we go, but we are using some very specific and personal powers to do the building of our life. And the way I see it, there are three personal powers that I believe that we all have. One of them is our mental power, the power of our thoughts, our intentions, and our dreams. We're going to talk about that. The second is our physical power, or the power of our actions and our choices. I'm going to talk about that. And the third is our emotional power, or the power to respond effectively to the way other people are using their own powers. Okay? Doesn't that sound all interesting, right? So it's going to take us some time to get through the introduction of these powers and pillars. But once you understand the big concepts, I can share so many lessons that kind of flesh them out and make them weave together in interesting ways. And all of this information is to help you navigate the spiritual lane of life better and better. So our powers, okay? Here's how I see it. So every day we are given the energy of life. It's given to us freely as we all breathe. The energy beats our hearts. It operates our internal organs. It thinks our thoughts. It moves our bodies. That energy is given to us day after day. We wake up to a new measure of spiritual energy. And I believe that we spend our entire lives learning how to manage the energy that is given to us, how to maximize the energy, and how to use this God-given energy. And we use this energy, and we have free will how to use it. We can use it to create things. We can use it to destroy things. We can use it to show love to everyone and everything around us, or we can disparage and express fear to everything and everyone around us. This is our free will. And when we participate responsibly and manage power responsibly, our lives reflect how well we do all of that. And the better we do all of that, the greater life satisfaction that we feel. So if we can master these personal powers, our lives will reflect that mastery. If we fail to master them, then our lives kind of look like they're a mess, right? So I believe that using these powers is how we harness the energy of God itself to co-create our lives. And the universe is responding to us constantly in every moment. And this is such important information for us to understand because it greatly impacts the quality of our lives. So let's dive into this first power, our mental power, the power of our thoughts, intentions, and dreams. So we are constantly communicating with God, with the universe, with the energy of all life, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And we do that communicating with our thoughts. As we learned recently in class, what do we say? We have 50,000 thoughts a day? 50,000 thoughts a day. You've likely heard these phrases, what we think about, we bring about, or change your thinking, change your life. Those phrases are kind of thrown around pretty freely, but I want to do more than throw them around. I want you to get it. I want you to understand. I want you to accept them and have a relationship with the truth that's behind these little phrases. So if we're constantly communicating with God through our thoughts, whether we're thinking them, like thinking them silently to ourselves, or we're speaking them out loud, or we're writing them down, or we're reading someone else's thoughts, we're thinking. We're always thinking, and it's through our minds that our human free will communicates to the responsive spirit, or the source of the energy that fuels our days. Our thoughts create a pattern or a mold. The more frequently we think a thought about a concept, the stronger and more impactful the mold becomes. And into this mold that our thoughts have created, we direct the spiritual energy that flows. Therefore, the more intensely you hold in thought a thing, the more strongly your experience of that thing becomes. It isn't the idea so much that counts as the intensity of the attachment you have to that thought. So can you see why it's so important that we master what we think about? Let me personalize this a little bit. If you are constantly thinking and worrying about loss and illness and hardship and troubles and judgment of ourselves or others for that matter, you're creating a mold into which the responsive energy pours itself into that mold. And since we direct the flow of that energy, in this case, we have directed it to form a pattern of chaos and pain, frustration, disease. And when that is the direction of the flow of our lives, we experience some difficulties, don't we? Right? We get physical ailments more frequently. We have financial struggles. Our life feels out of control, spinning in a direction we really do not want to go in. But on the other hand, if we are ruminating and thinking about new ideas and possible solutions and kindness and accomplishments of ourselves or others, gratitude for what has already gone well, we're also creating a mold into which the spiritual energy flows, and we're directing that flow of energy into a pattern of growth and order and vitality and love. And when that is the direction of the flow of our lives, we're pretty happy with that, right? Things are going well. That is the power of our thoughts. But what about intentions and dreams? Let's talk about those because I think they're a little bit different. So an intention is when we have consciously and purposefully decided to focus our thoughts even more firmly on a specific idea for ourselves. Intentions are long-term thought patterns that we ask our subconscious mind or our highest self to continue to think and create from, even if we get distracted by what's going on here. We're responding to everything on a daily life, but that intention, we're asking it to run underneath the surface. We ask Spirit to keep giving us moments to choose that intention over and over again to the fulfillment of our intention. And I want to use an example through the lesson so it makes more sense. Let's say you've been thinking about running a marathon. Now, I don't know why you would think that, but let's just say that's what you think about. And you can substitute anything that you've been casually thinking about, but for my example, we're going to do a marathon, okay? So your thoughts have kind of drifted to running a marathon, like casually. When you see someone out like running, obviously not for the first time, they're running really well. Or maybe you see a 26.2 sticker on a back of a car and you're like, I should run that marathon. Or you just are out on a run and you just don't want to stop. Never felt that, but you never know. And then there comes a moment when the thought gets real. And maybe you've been casually mentioning it, wanting to do a marathon over again so often that your partner uses the old familiar phrase, shit or get off the pot, right? Do something. Do something. And it's in that moment that you have the opportunity to switch from just thoughts about a thing to an intention. And intentions are powerful because they let spirit know you're serious. You're serious, and you're ready to choose this particular thought in a big way. You announce to yourself and others, it is my intention to run the Boston Marathon or the Gasparilla, whatever's going on this weekend where there's people out there running. And you have set this an intention in motion. And then the universe is going to start giving you immediate opportunities to start choosing that intention again and again. What are you going to see? You're going to see some ads for some cool running shoes, or you're going to see participation bibs on people out in public, like, they've been running, right? What have they been doing? You're at another choice point. Do you follow those thoughts further into your intention, or do you let it fizzle a little bit? Like, nah, maybe next time. And over and over and over, this intention will continue to show up for you until you let it completely diminish into nothingness, or you follow it to the experience that you are wanting to have. So intentions are so impactful, and mastering the power of intention happens in that spiritual lane of life because you're purposefully channeling energy into powerful thoughts. So that's thoughts and intentions. What about dreams? So dreams are when we flow our emotional energy into our creative thoughts. So you can call these times of dreaming, you can call them daydreaming, you can call them meditating, imagination time, whatever you call them. We're very creative when doing these thinking activities because we are bathing our thoughts in powerful, emotional, kind of like fertilizer of sorts. So emotions draw the creative power of the universe to act upon these kinds of thoughts pretty intensely. So, but as you know, we can dream and imagine a lot of things, can't we? Some really awesome things and from some scary things. You can imagine like old, difficult conversations you've been in, kind of revising your statements over and over in that conversation, just getting your feelings all hurt again. Or you could possibly imagine, creating a party of your wildest imagination. That could be what you could be thinking about. But either way, your mind is drifting and imagining your future and directing the energy of life to flow in a certain direction for you. And you are feeling these dreamy things. How many of you have ever chuckled to yourself about a conversation that you're having in your head that's not even really happening? I could have said that, right? You feel that, right? And maybe you've actually started tearing up, imagining something really painful that could possibly happen. Because your emotions don't know the difference between what's really going on and what's just going on in your head. Your emotions are flowing anyway. So if our thoughts, intentions, and dreams are how we communicate with God and let it know what we want more of, can't you see the importance of at least knowing what your thoughts, intentions, and dreams are about? And can you see the value of mastering this power? We've been taught about this our entire lives. How many of you remember the childhood storybook, The Little Engine That Could? Right? I won't read it. That would have been entertaining, right? But no, I'm not going to read it. But we all know that story, the power of thinking we can do something versus the power of thinking we can't do something. And that theme continues in lots of religious stories, philosophical stories, myths, college lectures, motivational speeches, movies, plot lines of books. It's everywhere. Pay attention to what you're thinking about. And I'm continuing that message today. Pay attention. But we're not often taught about the idea that the universe responds to our thoughts. That's the piece of the lesson we don't get. that it's actually an energy and a power that's responding. The bottom line is science has proven that our thoughts impact the reality around us. And if we change them, our experience of reality changes. We talked about that in Sacred Cup. When we change, the world around us changes. So we're going to explore this power all year long. If you didn't get all of it, it's going to show up in our lessons over and over again. But I want to go on to the second power. The second power is our physical power, or the power of our actions and choices. So you've heard the phrase, actions speak louder than words, right? That's just a great way of pointing out that our actions are even more powerful than the thoughts, intentions, and dreams that motivate those actions. Because when we act or choose, we're channeling the energy of God into a certain direction, much like we do with a thought, but we're also engaging our human physical energy into that creative process. And you may not realize it, but you are acting and choosing in every moment because you're living in every moment. You're constantly picking something up or laying it down. You're constantly reaching for it or pushing it away. You're constantly moving forward or pulling back. You're choosing all the time. Whether we're doing it consciously or unconsciously, aggressively or passively, we're choosing each and every second of the day. We're choosing our thoughts, our attitudes, how we feel. We choose the things we do and the reactions that we have. And these choices move us along the path of life in a certain direction. And when we move in this direction, we move closer to possibilities that lie down that road and further from possibilities that lie down this road. And you go far enough down a road in one direction, you lose the possibility of many, many things that are over here on this road. Sometimes possibilities disappear from your life altogether, while others that you're heading towards grow more definite. Now, we can always choose again and start heading closer to those distant possibilities, but it may take us longer to access them, right? It's not that they're gone completely most of the time. It's just going to take you longer. But let's go back to our marathon example because it's so much fun. So think about all the choices along the path toward fulfilling the intention of running it. You know, you're choosing what foods you eat, how much you stretch your body, how much sleep you allow yourself, what kind of activity do you maintain as the race approaches, what shoes do you wear, who do you hang out with, how do you describe yourself, and a million different choices. All those choices get you closer or more farther from your marathon, right? And each choice either keeps us going in the same direction or shifts our trajectory in tiny or huge ways to head in a different direction. And here's the tricky part. Most of us were taught that our choices are limited by what? By our background, by our educational level, by the color of our skin, by our body type, by all kinds of things. And many of us fall into the ideas of like victimhood, like, oh, I don't have all those choices because I'm not lucky enough to have all those choices, pretending that we cannot make a new choice or head in a different direction. Some of us feel trapped by a choice we made a long time ago and feel like, well, that choice eliminated all these other choices. But remember what I said, it may take you longer to access them, but most of those choices are still available to you. So waking up spiritually is very helpful in putting the power of choosing squarely back in your hands. I like to say, if you're not changing it, you're choosing it. Take a deep breath. If you're not changing something, you're choosing it. And sometimes inaction is also the choice that we make. So your human ego free will is there to make great choices and take amazing actions, or make poor choices and take destructive actions. But either way, spiritual energy meets you there in that choice and helps you create whatever you have chosen. Our physical power. Our third personal power is our emotional power, or the power to respond. So here's the deal. Every single individual is learning how to master those personal powers. Some are killing it and some are being killed, right? Either way, each person is headed down the road of their own life, and you have the power of your emotions to harness as you learn to use this particular personal power as you relate to others. Responsibility, I've defined it. It's the ability to respond. And the better we are at mastering our response to everything and everyone, the more personal power we have. And I call it our emotional power because that's really what we're doing here, is we're learning to control and harness the power of our emotional energy. Remember I talked about dreams being fueled by emotional energy? Lots of things in life are fueled by emotional energy, namely our relationships, right? Mastering your ability to be good in relationships impacts all aspects of your life and the people in your life, and the better your life will be, period. The basic question is, what is your true relationship with the world around you? What is the role that you play in all of it? And on the flip side, what is the world's true relationship with you? And what is the role that all of life plays in your world, in your life? How you answer those questions really matters in the mastery of this personal power. Because I believe the world is your stage. You are the center of your universe. Science has told us that every single point is the center of the universe, meaning you are the center of your universe. So this stage, it is the place where you have all come to learn and be yourself, interacting with everyone on the stage, interacting with all the props that are on the stage. And nothing or no actor on your stage has any power unless you give it power and engage with it. And once you stop engaging with it, it fades into the background or goes off stage altogether. You get to decide how close another actor gets to you. After you make the initial introduction of that actor on your stage, you get to decide what role do they play, how much power do they have, how much do you want to engage with each person and each prop that you find. In other words, you choose how to respond to each person and thing that is happening. It is your ability to respond that impacts your play, your show of your life. Anyway, back to our marathon example. Maybe you get messages from the characters on your stage that running is too hard, or that your time should be spent more productively than athletic pursuits, or maybe your friends and family are interested in other things and didn't support your desire to run, right? Or maybe you came from a family of runners and it came easily to you to join in with the running, or maybe you secretly had your desire to run to be different than your family. You get to choose how to respond to the influences of those people. In every conversation, we choose our responses. In every relationship, we choose our responses. In every interaction and circumstance, we choose our responses. And in those choices, we make the relationships stronger and more supportive, or we damage them and create more challenging connections, or do we diminish the presence of people in our lives? So what I believe is that Spirit will continue to show up as the people and circumstances that are here to help us master this ability to respond. We're going to continue to draw to ourselves hard relationships until we learn to respond with healthy boundaries and diminish unhealthy things on our stage. And we'll continue to bring closer the props that we need to use to live out these lessons of responsibility. When we respond from love, our lives improve. When we respond from a place of fear, our lives diminish. And understanding and mastering this power is critical to our healing and growth. So these are the three personal powers that I believe that we all have: the mental power of our thoughts, the physical power of our actions, and the emotional power of our responses. And understanding these three powers helps us create the lives that we deeply desire, whether that includes running a marathon or not, whatever your dreams are, whatever intentions you hold for your life, however you wish to change, you have the ability to harness the universal energy that is given to you every day to co-create with it. And guess what? Mastering these powers is a lifelong journey. It's lifelong. It's what the road of life is giving us the opportunity to do. And we're going to be talking about these three powers the entire year. And we will use these powers to build and repair the pillars of our lives. But more on pillars to come. Will you pray with me? So take a deep breath. What I know is that the power of the universe is present in this moment and every moment. It is the energy of life that animates each and every person hearing this prayer. It is our relationship with this power that I call God, that can be called many, many things, that co-creates our life with us. And that as we go down this spiritual lane of the highway, we pick up new information that inspires us to use our powers more effectively, and our lives are blessed from it. So I know that life continues to unfold in beautiful and astounding ways for each and every one of us. I claim that as the truth. I let it go, and so it is. And so it is.